Hello, friends. So today we are just going to be doing a quick little catch up because I know I have not been present. I haven't been present for the past like 2 Wednesdays. And part of that is because on one of those Wednesdays, I forgot it was Wednesday. I completely lost track of what day of the week it was. And then the other Wednesday, I just didn't really have any inspiration or want to make a video, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that I have not been liking my setup at all. I have been trying to make it work, but I just haven't been satisfied with it. And so this past weekend I decided to like really look at my apartment and like figure out how to set up my living room so that I could have a backdrop I wanted. And as we can see, we now have a new little backdrop and I am more happy with it. I think the next thing I have to do is kind of like work on getting a new tripod that will work better with my setup because this one I have is just too bulky and too big. But that's a problem for another day. At least for right now, I can still get things filmed and I have a nice little background that I prefer and it makes me happy. And I'm hoping that that will help inspire me to continue making videos. And then I am also hoping that this will finally be the time for me to give you guys the long awaited book tour of all of my shelves. Because there is a lot of them. So, it's one of those things where it's like I gotta kind of jump on it as soon as possible. As for some future content that's going to be coming, there will be a book haul video coming up because it is time. It is time. I tend to do like 2 big book hauls a year kind of thing. I tend to do one at the beginning of the year and then one kind of like in the middle of the year so that I can, move things out, make some space on the shelves and everything. Usually it's a little bit easier when I actually read the books I own, and this year has not been the best year for that. Honestly, it hasn't. I need to stay out of the library, guys. I really need to stay out of the library. That is my biggest folly right now. But also it doesn't help either that right now I'm just kind of like in this funk towards reading fantasy, and majority of my shelves are fantasy. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what, like, I haven't fallen out of love with fantasy. I still love it so much. But I think it's just because there's just so much attention on other types of fantasies right now that, like, reading my normal fantasies, like, no one's going to pay attention. And so I'm just kind of like, yeah, you know. But anyways, so that's going to be coming a book unhaul video so that I can get through some stuff. I do have enough to like make a nice decent book haul on a book unhaul video, but it could have been more. But there's still the rest of the year, so I could still end up reading more, and then at the start of next year I could have a really big one. So we'll see. And then there will also be, which is counterintuitive to the book unhaul video, is there will be a book haul video coming soon. I just have to continue waiting a little bit longer because I am waiting on books from Broken Binding to come in. They have almost everything on delay right now. It's a little frustrating, It's a little frustrating paying for a certain amount of months for products and not getting anything, but what can you say? They're apparently flawless company. But so I'm waiting on those, and then I did just use some of my Pango bucks recently to purchase a couple more Louis L'Amours. So I'm also waiting for those to come in. So there will be a book haul eventually coming, but depending on how many I get rid of and how many I bring in, it'll either be equal to each other or one will be less than the other. We don't know. We'll see when we get there. So I do have some little video ideas coming up. But today I do also want to give you guys a quick little update on the things I've been reading and anything I have finished. So let's jump into those real quick. I finished Last Kids on Earth, June's Wild Flight. This is book 5.1 in the series, and you follow June on a solo adventure with her little buddy Globlet. This is the cutest character in this entire series, and if she does not appear in the rest of the books, I will riot, you guys. She is hilarious, all right? Just so off the wall, random comments. You're just like, sweetheart, you're so adorable. But I actually really enjoyed being in June's head. I found her to be more not more interesting, but just more palatable to like follow along. Jack, the main character who you normally follow, he can get a little frustrating, a little annoying after a while. She was a nice little like literal breath of fresh air, because her point of view on everything is vastly different from everybody. But it was really good. A nice little solo adventure. Definitely had some moments in it that definitely like pulled at the heartstrings, especially with this little guy right here. When you learn his little backstory, ooh, guys, oh, it's so heartbreaking. All right, and then you also learn a little bit more about June's background too, which does pull on the strings a little. But this little guy right here, okay, that's the one. But definitely a very good installment. Very much enjoyed it. And then I finished The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornick, and I'm just going to tell you guys right now, I did not like this, and that's very disappointing because this has been on my shelf for years. I think I pretty much bought this the year it came out, and it's been on my shelf since then, and I found this so boring, mundane, domesticated. I want moms in fantasy as much as the next person, okay? Because, like, as a mom myself, like, yeah, I want to see moms in fantasy, but also, like, I want to see her doing cool stuff. Like, I want to see her fighting monsters. I want to see her going on adventures. I want to see her being, like, this really cool, awesome lady, I don't want to see her being a mom going through pregnancy problems. I don't want to see that. I don't. We could skip past that. We can. The first, like, 50% of this is just her living in a cave, raising her kids, pining for Loki. That's what it is. That's what it is. The Witch's Heart follows Angrboda. If you aren't familiar with Angrboda, she is one of the wives of Loki. She is the mother of Jormungandr, the world serpent, Fenrir the wolf, and Hel, the ruler of Hell, of Helheim. Those are her kids with Loki, and this every now and then you come across a retelling of something, and it's really just a way for an author to be like, look at how much I know about this myth. And that's what ends up happening in this. Instead of her letting you live in the myth, she's, especially like Loki's parts of the story, every time Loki comes into the story, it's just like, I did this, and then I did that, and then I did this, and then I did that. And it's just like, okay, yeah, like, I'm familiar with all of this. Like, would have been kind of cool to like live in the moment of those parts of the story. And like, I get it, it's Angrboda's story, which is why, but it's also like, I don't know, maybe just don't bother. I don't, it's so hard to like find like an even ground, I guess, on a situation like that, because like, you want her to make the story about Angrboda, but obviously Loki is a part of her story. But it's also like, do we have to do a play-by-play of all of his myths in her book? Like, do we? Maybe not. The banter between her and Loki was so just juvenile and high school, and I was just like, these guys are supposed to be like hundreds of years old. Like, they're, especially her, like, she's supposed to be older than Loki, and it's just like, they just sounded like little 17-year-olds pining for each other, and I was just like, this is really cringy. Like, I don't like this. I didn't enjoy it at all. I found the writing style, while the writing style is easy to follow along with, it's boring. It is so boring. I was listening to the audiobook with this, and I ended up having to speed the audiobook up because not only was the content boring me, but the writing itself, like, it wasn't, I don't want to use the word flashy, but like, that's the best word to use. Like, there was nothing that was making me go, look at this, wow, that's so fun. Like, it was just like, this happened, and then that happened, and then this happened, and then that happened, and you're just like, okay. Okay. So, yeah, and then the second half of the story, it's like she tries to like rush all of the events leading up to Ragnarok, and you're just like, okay. If I could find one Norse mythology story that doesn't touch on Ragnarok, that would be fantastic. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I get it, her character, because her kids play a big part in Ragnarok and everything. I get it. But I'm so tired. I'm so tired of every single Norse story just focusing on Ragnarok. But also, like I said, like it's all rushed at the end of this, and then she throws in this like half-baked lesbian story, and I'm just like, listen, I'm all for the gay romances, lesbian romances, like I'm all for their existence and stories, but maybe let's not half-bake it. Maybe let's like actually like put some effort into it, you know? And it comes like there at the end, and you're just kind of like, oh, was was this like a shoehorned idea? Like, what is this? Like, you're just kind of like, okay. And then she also does like this other like little uh, couple thing at the very, very end. And I'm like, well, okay. Okay, I guess. So, yeah, I'm very disappointed. Because I was hoping for more from that, because a lot of people were like, oh, if you liked Cersei, you'll like this. And that's an insult. I need everybody to stop insulting Cersei, okay? Because Cersei really does something so vastly different from what all these other books are doing. Like, stop insulting my girl like that. And then I am still in the middle of The Last Kids on Earth, Skeleton Road. This is book 6. This is actually getting to a point in the story where the kids are going to have to leave, like, their neighborhood, which is where they have been for the last 6 books. Or 5 books, and they now have to actually start venturing out. And our main character Jack, he's feeling apprehensive about that, because as a foster child moving from home to home to home, him finally finding like a solid place to live with his friends in this apocalypse, like it's very important to him. And so he's having some issues with it and everything, but he's trying to like fight through it. But also he's like not wanting to talk to his friends about it again. So, you know, but other than that, so far it's pretty good. I did try, just for funsies, because I read these physically, I was like, what's it like listening to an audiobook for one of these? Because these are the kind of books where they've got, you know, the little art and comic strips through them, where sometimes the comics like correspond with like what's currently being said on the page in the paragraphs. And it's also, I wanted to know if I was pronouncing a lot of the names correctly, which I am. And I will say the experience is interesting. I do say that these are much better read physically than they are listened with an audiobook, because some of those little comic strips in the middle get skipped over, and you're kind of like, oh, no. There's words on that page. So, yeah, I just wanted to see what it was like. I do have to say, not that big of a fan of it, though. And then I'm still in the middle of Absinthe. And I finally have like made it to like the halfway point. This one is taking like a slight bit longer to read, because it hit that middle point in the story where it just kind of like slowed down so much, and a lot of it is attributed to it being like, it's time for a training montage. I hate training montages in books. Like, they work in movies because you get all the flashy scenes and the music, and it's like it's all sped up, and you're like, yeah, look at them train. In a book, it's just like, all right, guys, it's time for class. Here's how you use such and such and such and such. Here's how you do such and such and such. And it's so boring, you guys. It's so boring. And the book does that. It gets into an annoying training thing. And then there's like this annoying little romance thing that's going on. And I'm like, bro, I don't care about that. And then like they're like explaining how the magic works, which is not really magic to say. It's more like they have been, think of like the super soldier serum. It gives that vibe. It gives super soldier serum, but with like a different spin on it, you know? And especially since it does happen to men in the military. It did happen to people in the military in this one. And you know, I just like, I don't want the intricacies of it explained. If you can just give me a quick little fly-by-fly of a general idea of how it works, I'm fine with that. I don't like the books where they start to go into like the grave detail of how it all works and plays out. Not my jam. Just kind of like working my way through that one. It has finally gotten past the little training sessions and everything, and they're finally like back on track with trying to get the friend back who's been kidnapped. So hopefully we keep that momentum going. And the last one that I'm in the middle of reading right now is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I am doing this with the audiobook, since a lot of people online were like, oh, you gotta do the audiobook, you gotta read it with the audiobook. The audiobook is amazing. And the audiobook is good. Like, I'm not gonna like sit here and deny that. It is a very good audiobook. But unfortunately, I'm not seeing what everybody else is seeing in this book. Right now, it's sitting at kind of like a 3-star-ish, like, it's fine kind of book for me. And a lot of that is due to the fact of just how the story is being written out. Like, I understand what she's trying to do. And I understand that she's trying to show us what it's like for a child to grow up in poverty with a drug addicted mother and all of the things that can come packaged with that and how life can be. And I get that there are unfortunately people who do live this life on a regular basis, unfortunately, and that sometimes things just always go bad no matter how much you try. But for me to read it in a story, you're just kind of like, I've become numb to it. And I'm at this point, because I'm 50% into this, I'm at this point where I no longer expect anything good to happen. I just, this is going to end up bad. That's going to end up bad. This is going to end up bad. That will definitely end up bad. Like, it's put my mind into like that process. Like, that's how I'm processing the story of everything's going to be bad. So there's really no point in hoping that anything will be good. Like, because nothing positive has happened to this kid. It's just been her so heavy-handedly slamming all of this bad stuff into you. And, you know, on one hand, I get it. But on the other hand, I'm like, I want to stay interested in the story, but you're making it so hard, because I'm past the point of I'm past the point of like believing something good's going to happen to this kid. Like, I definitely feel like where I'm at right now, maybe finally something good will happen to him, but it's like, it's so late into the book that I'm just kind of like, like, it would have been nice if there was just like a tiny bit more balance between what was going on, all the bad, and like tiny little moments where it was like, oh, well, that's a good thing. Like, I feel like that would have helped break it up a bit more and would have helped sell some of the more deeper, heavier parts. I have not been brought to tears with this yet, and I know that's a big thing a lot of people say, is that it's a big like tear jerker and it makes you cry and all this other stuff. But I also think a lot of it too is I am 100% aware of the situations that this kid is going through. Like, I know how bad the foster care system is. I know how corrupt it is. I know that there are kids who end up with foster parents who abuse them and use them like little slaves. I know that there are kids who end up with ones who end up getting sexually abused. And I know that there are some who get used just so that they can pocket the money. Like, I know all of this stuff. I am aware that these things are happening. So like, to read it in a book, I'm kind of like, yeah, that's unfortunately, that's how society is. Like, it doesn't, like, it's not like mind blowing to me. And like, part of me wonders if that's why some of these people were so like blown away by this, because they're not fully aware of the world around them kind of situation. And that's not to say that it's not like written in a way that tries to pull at you. I don't know. Something about it just isn't getting me. And like I said, I think it's just more so the heavy-handedness of it and the fact that it just happens back to back to back to back to back to back to back, that like I've kind of become numb to it. And it's more just kind of like me just like following along and being like, yeah, I mean, that's what it's like to be a kid in poverty, you know? Like, that's unfortunately what life is like. And it's not fair. So it's definitely a struggle. I will say, when it does come to listening to the audiobook, I can only do like 20 to 30 minutes at a time, just because I get so like frustrated, because it's just the same repetitiveness going on. Like, I feel bad having these frustrating feelings about it. Like, I've even talked with my coworkers about it and like explained it to them, and you know, they all at least understand like where I'm coming from, and like, but it feels weird to like feel so disconnected from it because of the topics that are covered in it. But it's like, I don't know, like, I kind of feel like she's laying it on a bit too thick, honestly, like. So we'll see. I still have, like I said, half to go. Definitely don't think, unless something big really turns it around in like this next half of the book, I don't really see it being any higher than it's well written kind of thing for me. So we shall see. That's what I'm reading right now. That's kind of everything that's going on with my reading. I don't have too much going on right now. I'm not in the middle of any westerns, although I do have some lined up to go next. So we'll see. But yeah, so if you guys have read any of these, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What have you been reading? What have you guys been up to? Again, sorry I haven't been here for the past like 2 weeks, but I'm back now, and hopefully the new setup will inspire me to continue making content. So until then, bye guys.